All right, hello and a very good evening to you. Welcome to the broadcast. It feels so great to have you with us tonight. We have quite a lot lined up for you tonight, including an update on Uganda's preparedness ahead of her general elections that's coming up in the next 72 hours. And on that note, we begin tonight. Our sign language interpreter is Boniface Mureithi. The Ugandan Communications Commission, that is UCC, has ordered a temporary suspension of public internet access and selected mobile services from 6 p.m. on January, that is today, until the end of the electioneering period. In a directive issued by the regulator, UCC Executive Director Nyombi Thembo stated that the move is aimed at safeguarding national security and maintaining public order during the electoral process by mitigating the spread of misinformation, disinformation, and electoral fraud. The directive affects public internet access, SIM card sales and registration, and outbound data roaming, while granting exemptions to essential services such as healthcare and banking. The move has, however, attracted sharp condemnation from the main opposition candidate, that is Bobi Wine, who termed the shutdown as a sign of panic from the ruling Museveni regime. The January 15th polls are expected to be closely watched amid heightened political activity and security deployments across the country as incumbent President Yoweri Museveni seeks re-election after 40 years in power. And the Africans for Africa AFM movement, still on the Ugandan note, has raised a red flag over Uganda's fast approaching general elections, warning that the credibility of the January 15th polls is under serious threat. In a statement released today, the organization accused Uganda's Electoral Commission and state security agencies of actively undermining the electoral process, urging the international community to intervene before it is too late. More details on this with Glory Nkatha.
With just a day remaining to go to the ballots in neighboring Uganda, pressure is mounting to Uganda authorities to address growing concerns over electoral integrity, political violence, and human rights as the country heads to define its political direction for years to come. In a strongly worded statement, Africans for African Civil Society says the current political environment falls far short of the conditions required for free, fair, transparent, and credible elections. The organization accuses the Electoral Commission chair by Justin Simon Mugenyi Bakawa of opening partnership in favor of the ruling National Resistance Movement and NRM.
What is arguably one of the most violent, chaotic, and controversial campaigns ahead of the voting day on January 15th. Uganda is at a crossroads between the past and the future, the old and the new. Ideally, elections are supposed to be held in an environment that is conducive to a free, fair, credible, transparent, verifiable, accountable election, so that the sovereign will of the people can be exercised.
The group has also sounded the alarm over the shrink civic space in Uganda, pointing to the recent suspension of several civil society organizations involved in elections observation and human rights advocacy. Among those affected are the Alliance of Electoral Finance Monitoring, the Human Rights Network for Journalists Uganda, the National NGO Forum, and the National Coalition of Human Rights Defenders.
Back to us as human rights defenders and also the international communities, calling them on, and also however much many people were denied accreditation for monitoring the elections, it is up to us to focus on Uganda and see how the elections are being run, and also condemn whatever wrong we see running there.
In its statement, the organization also condemns the deployment of security agencies, including the military and police, in what it terms systematic harassment and intimidation of opposition leader Robert, popularly known as Bobi Wine.
Is not in charge. It's the police, it's the military. even when the constitution clearly allowed us to guard our votes by, standing at least 20 meters away from the polling station, the Electoral Commission chair, the police bosses have said that everyone should vote and go home. So meaning there is a hidden agenda or hidden plan. So it's as though the Constitution has somehow been...
As the country prepares to vote, Africans for Africans is now calling for the International Community Development Partnership, regional bodies, religious leaders, and human rights organizations to closely monitor the January 15th election and help safeguard Uganda's democratic process. Reporting for Newswatch, my name is Glory Nkatha.
All right, thank you so much, Glory Nkatha, for that report. And now from Uganda, back to the country, and not on some very exciting news. Over 100 youths in Turkana County have raised alarm after failing to receive the promised funds from the government's Nyota Business Support Program, despite completing registration. The group, which registered in Eldoret City a few days ago, alleged the system had been compromised by cartels within the micro, small and medium enterprises, that is the MSMEs sector. Most of the registered youths have been unable to access the stipend through their mobile phones as initially promised by President William Ruto during the program launch. The complaints come as Ruto was unveiling phase 2 of the Nyota project at Archer's Post in Samburu County. And now still matters Nyota Fund. Again, more than 4,000 youths from Samburu, Laikipia, Marsabit and Isiolo have received 25,000 shillings under the Nyota project to either start or grow their businesses. Leading the disbursement, President William Ruto said it is an opportunity for the youth to better their lives and reduce over-dependency. Leaders from the 4 counties welcomed the move, saying the program will stimulate micro-business activity and boost incomes in pastoral and trading communities across the region. Samia Dika was on that beat and now reports.
Na hapa kwa Nyota, tuendelea ama tuendelee? Tuendelea ama tuendelee? Hebu nione wana
4,159 young entrepreneurs from Samburu, Isiolo, Marsabit and Laikipia counties are the latest beneficiaries of President William Ruto's Nyota project that seeks to support emerging youth-led enterprises. Praising his efforts of driving what he termed as successful youth empowerment programs, President William Ruto pledged his continued commitment to expanding economic opportunities for the youth whom he said had been sidelined by previous governments.
Kama hamuna kitu ya kupanga ya hawa vijana, wachaneni na vitisho, wachaneni na uchochezi. Hawa vijana, they want a future. Wanataka kujua ajira itapatikana wapi. Wanataka kujua masomo wataendelea namna gani. Wanataka kujua biashara watafanya namna gani na watapata usaidizi wa aina gani kutoka serikali yao. And that is what we are going to do.
A section of Kenya Kwanza leaders also took the opportunity to slam those opposed to the Nyota project, saying the money is enough to start and run a business.
Tuasikuje kukuambia ati ya kupatie shilingi 100, shilingi 200, uende ukarushe mawe na kupiga wapinzani wa huyo mtu wa kisiasa. Wale viongozi wanataka kusaidia vijana, wawatafutie pesa kama hii ya Nyota ambayo tumeletewa na serikali ya William Samoei Ruto.
Viongozi wengi waliopita walikuwa wanazungumzia masuala na changamoto za vijana, lakini hawakuwa na suluhisho.
Ruto also insisted that in line with his promises during the 2022 general election campaign, his administration will continue rolling out targeted empowerment programs that provide both capital and institutional backing.
We are spending close to 700 billion shillings every year. We must also think and we must have a plan on what happens to our young people when they come out of school, they come out of college, when they come out of university. And that is why, as the government of Kenya, under my administration, we have designed pathways for creating real, deliberate, intentional jobs for young people in our nation.
Despite the government now saying that about 40,000 youth have benefited from the Nyota project across the country, the opposition has faulted the program, terming it as a short-term goal to the realization of youth empowerment. For Newswatch, I'm Sami Adika.
Right, thank you so much, Sami Adika, for bringing us up to speed with the continuous launch of the Nyota program across the country. And now to some matters of education. The Court of Appeal is expected to make a significant ruling in the coming months to determine whether the NGCDF will still remain functional or will be scrapped off. The fund, according to a 2024 High Court ruling, is expected to continue operating until June 2026, pending an appeal now before the Court of Appeal. As a result, education stakeholders led by NGCDF Chief Executive Officer, that is Mr. Yusuf Mbuno, are now warning that stopping the fund without a plan could hurt thousands of learners and reverse education gains, especially in marginalized areas. Speaking in Wundanyi, Taita Taveta County, during an Education Day forum, the area Member of Parliament Danson Mwashako noted that the NGCDF has played a central role in keeping children from poor backgrounds in school through school fees support and infrastructure development. Now, these remarks come against the backdrop of a 2024 High Court ruling that declared the NGCDF Act unconstitutional for undermining devolution and violating the separation of powers.
Inagharamia wanafunzi ambao wana benefit na CDF kila mwaka 1.2 million students. Kwa hivyo wajue na waelewe ya kwamba wakimaliza NGCDF pia wakuwe na mpango, watuelezee hawa wanafunzi nani atakuwa na gharimia masomo yao.
Kuweka ile hazina kwa katiba ili wale wanatupiganisha na vitengo vingine vya serikali wakose njia nyingine, kwa sababu wakienda kotini wanasema kwamba hii hazina hii iko kinyume na katiba. Sasa sisi tunauliza, kwa vile wananchi wanataka hazina ya National Government CDF, situiende katika katiba.
All the nines wamefanya vizuri sana. Tunapata all the schools in Wundanyi have children going to national schools. See one school, all schools. Haijai happen in the previous regime. Watoto wanapata, sasa hivi na watoto wameitwa shule nzuri. Niko na watoto wa Alliance, niko na watoto wameitwa Coast Kenyatta yetu hapa, niko na mtoto wa Kenya High. Tuko na watoto wameitwa very good schools.
All right, on that note, we take our first short breather right here on Hope TV's Newswatch. Coming up on the other side are more top stories, including the LSK is faulting the judiciary for you know what. When you come back, I'll be telling you about the reason. Stay tuned to Hope TV. Let's take that break.
Hello there, my name is Beatrice Nudi, a host on Hope at Dawn with George Gishuru. Thank you so very much for your support and your loyal viewership. How is the signal in your area? We would love to know. Please do scan the QR code that you see on your screen so that we can know how to serve you better.
Going back to the heart of worship.
Whether up the mountain or down the valley, we were created to worship God.
Enjoy carefully selected worship music every Wednesday all day long.
Oh, I will sing of the goodness of God.
We take it a notch higher with more worship music.
Every Wednesday
is Worship Wednesday.
Only on Hope FM. Listen and live.
We have no means and no ways in our own capacity or knowledge to bring someone to Christ. This is the perfect plan of God to bring us to maturity and to become spiritual people that would stand against the attacks of the enemy, the wiles of the enemy, and stood against persecution, opposition, and continue and finish the race. In the same situation, we have to find out what Jesus taught, and whatever is being said, we are not going to run away from what Jesus said.
At the age of 25 is where there is also another change, because the frontal cortex, this part of the head, the maturity now of the brain happens at that time, which is responsible for intellectual abilities, decision makings, and like the executive area of the brain. Again, it comes with other challenges. Now that I am who I am, you withdraw further from people. Then the other stage that comes in, sometimes it can come early from the age of 35 all the way to 55. Midlife crisis. Midlife crisis. So the man is trying to catch up with the lost time. Unajua anajaribu kuingia kwa hawa vijana because they lost the time, they don't fit. Unapata jamaa anaacha koti avae, lakini wao wamevaa
Jibu, wao wamevaa koti. Are you trying to communicate?
Are you trying to fit? So like, so like they are trying to fit, but as they move closer to this generation, now ina move away. Inasonga, ukikuja inasonga. So then the loneliness increases, and in fact it is that critical stage where, in the field of psychology, we teach the men to begin to prepare themselves for that package of retirement.
Catch past episodes on our YouTube channel at Hope TV Kenya. Men on Record, every Friday at 7 p.m. There's a world out there searching for hope, and you can help bring it home. By becoming a friend of Hope, you're helping us share the love of Jesus through Hope FM and Hope TV. With a donation of any amount, join hands with us to bring hope and point souls to the transforming power of Jesus Christ. Become a friend of Hope today by making your donation through the M-Pesa paybill number 933933, account FOH. For more information on how to become a friend of Hope, call 0116-212-723 or email customerexperience@hopefm.org or visit www.hopemediakenya.org. Friends of Hope, keeping hope alive.
Right, welcome back, and thank you so much for choosing us to inform you tonight. Let's proceed, where residents of Karindi village in Alego Usonga constituency are protesting alleged intimidation and harassment by sand harvesters operating along River Nzoia. Locals accuse the harvesters, said to be from neighboring Ugenya sub-county, of using crude weapons, drugs and threats to silence the community as they carry out illegal sand harvesting. Residents claim the harvesters often operate at night and confront locals aggressively, creating fear and insecurity in the area, with attempts to stop the activity being met with violence, intimidation. Beyond harassment, the community said the sand harvesting has destroyed farms and a vital water source that serves about 3,000 people, thereby worsening their vulnerability.
In the last 3 days, these young men standing behind me had to tow a boat from this river up to a center called Nduru Market. This was because we have tried Days Without Numbers to speak, but it just goes into deaf ears. It is very unfortunate that those people who do this kind of work, they don't have any respect at all. They have even gone into insecure activities. They come here smoking bang. They even threaten the people who are living around these shows. Like there's a lady here called Monica who stays across here. She doesn't get sleep. So today we are here requesting, number one, we are requesting, because it is now beyond the national government through our provincial administrator, the national government administrative, the Ngaos. We have tried and it has defeated them. Because our location here of West Alego and West Ugenya, the chiefs, I don't know if they have done anything. Our assistant chiefs of Kaburawi sub-location and Masat West sub-location, last time when we towed the boat, the assistant chief told us to leave alone those people. So it looks like business as usual to them. Yet it is something that is going to make people die. There have been several attempts of death here. Around 3 people have just been rescued when they were going with the water.
All right, now from Alego Usonga to Kwale County. The fight against crime in the coastal region has continued to bear fruits as 3 more youths surrendered to the police after abandoning criminal gangs. The move brings to 43 the number of youths who have so far renounced crime in the area. Police say the youths turned themselves in after defecting from the notorious Panga Boys gang, citing a desire to embrace peace and help improve security. Authorities have welcomed the development, urging more youths to follow suit, even as parents are reminded to take responsibility and work closely with security agencies to keep young people away from crime. Msambweni Sub-County Police Commander, that is Robinson Langat, threatened to arrest parents whose children are found to be involved in criminal gangs that are terrorizing residents using dangerous weapons.
Kwa sahi nasalimika na naomba wale wote ndio wakwaza ama ndio wakosea ndio wafanye uhalifu wote, pia naomba nisamehe kwa moyo mmoja. Pia mtu labda kama anishuku kwa sahi, yani naongea hapa kwenye vyombo vya habari, yani kuna viongozi hapa hapo, naomba kujiuzulu kwa moyo wangu mmoja, sio katika wale terrorists sijui wala naitwaje, yani mapanga leo kwa sahi simu.
Nimeamua nibadilike kwa sababu nimeona nafaa niona maisha mbeleni na nijenga maisha yangu kama mtu anayetegemewa katika jamii. Na ningependa kuambia vijana wenzangu, huku tulikokuja ni salama, na ukijisalimisha hausumbuliwi na yoyote na unaachwa huru uendelee na maisha yako.
Hii namba ukiona wanaendelea kuongezeka wale wanajisalimisha, ni ile pressure tunawawekea maofisa wangu, tunaweza kuweka pressure, ndio naona wanaanza kuona uhalifu ni mbaya, na vile wamejisalimisha namna hii ina maana sasa diani yetu itakuwa salama.
And in response to the conservatory orders issued by Nakuru High Court yesterday, suspending all engagements of public entities with private advocates and law firms, the Law Society of Kenya on Tuesday issued a strong statement criticizing the judiciary for overreach. Addressing the media, LSK President Faith Odhiambo labeled the order as unconstitutional, claiming that the judiciary is misusing their power in the name of judicial independence. Jacob Ojiro now reports that LSK has filed an application seeking to review the conservatory orders.
A day after Nakuru High Court Justice Mukira Mohochi issued conservatory orders suspending all public entities' engagements with private advocates and law firms, the Law Society of Kenya has come out guns blazing against the judiciary. Addressing the media on Tuesday in Nairobi, LSK President Faith Odhiambo labeled the orders unconstitutional and an overreach by the judiciary.
To single out the entire legal profession of the entire country is not only absurd, illegal, and unconstitutional. In the recent past, several attempts have been made to stifle the legal practice space in what we are apprehensively signifying a nefarious scheme to deprive the legal profession of a fair opportunity to work and earn competitively. The petition and ex parte orders granted by the High Court sitting at Nakuru petition E001 of 2026, are a culmination of a protracted cyclic attempt to cut off private practitioners from the public sector economic ecosystem.
There has been a uproar over the legal fees paid to private attorneys by county governments, with the Controller of Budget Margaret Nyakango in the past flagging county governments like Nairobi for payment of 10.9 billion to 11 advocates in the 2022-2023 financial year. In their defense, LSK said there are laws that guide the determination of legal fees, adding that relevant authorities including the EACC should look into the fraud cases.
There are systems under the law. Challenge it under procurement, challenge under anti-corruption, that if this is corruption cases, if it's money laundering, we have the Financial Reporting Corporation that can investigate those issues. So there are government bodies that have been set in place to be able to investigate any rogue elements. And let us be reminded that it's not just the lawyers. We have been seeing the Office of the Auditor General raising hue and cry about different government departments. We see catering in billions. Why can't we ensure that the caterers that are employed do the catering?
The lawyers are now accusing the judiciary of impunity, alleging that the conservatory orders were part of a growing list of cases whereby the judiciary has misused their powers in the recent past.
We shall not sit back and watch the judiciary, the last line of defense for the people of Kenya, run rogue against its own people. Unless this trend is nipped in the bud and with the requisite firmness it deserves, we are prepared to agitate for a radical surgery as a means to uphold and protect our constitution. As things stand, the Law Society of Kenya is collating all emerging instances of ineptitude, judicial arrogance and abrogation of duty on the part of judges and judicial officers.
In the interim, LSK has filed an application seeking to review and set aside the conservatory orders issued by Justice Mukira Mohochi. The petition seeking to look into the engagement of private advocates despite the presence of county attorneys was filed by Dr. Macharia Gikenya, Busia Senator Okiya Omtata, and 5 others, and the case is scheduled to be heard on the 30th of this month. Reporting for Newswatch, my name is Jacob Ochiro.
All right, and now it's time for us to play, and we begin with some Matters Golf. Kenyan professional and elite amateur golfers are optimistic of strong performances as the Sunshine Development Tour East Africa Swing tees off this Wednesday at Thika Greens Golf Resort. The event runs from January 14th to 16th and has attracted 82 golfers from 10 African countries, with Kenya fielding the largest contingent of 55 players. Top in the list are local names including John Legirma, Greg Snow, and Naomi Wafula. And the French star Kylian Mbappe has been accused of playing a role in the dismissal of Xabi Alonso as Real Madrid's head coach. This follows footage showing Mbappe allegedly defying Alonso's instructions after Real's 3-2 Super Cup final defeat to Barcelona in Saudi Arabia. The incident has been cited as evidence of Alonso's waning authority at the Bernabeu. Alonso was sacked on Monday, with former teammate Alvaro Arbeloa appointed as his replacement. And to some matters, Carabao. Holders Newcastle United face a stern test tonight as they host Manchester City in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-finals at St. James Park. Kickoff is at 11 p.m. East African time, with both sides eyeing a crucial first leg advantage. Tomorrow, Arsenal will visit London rivals Chelsea, hoping to end their 5-year wait for major silverware. All right, and to the sports fanatics, we have to release you early for the matters involving that game that we've just mentioned, starting off at 11 p.m. From the entire men and women behind the scenes and myself and Boniface Mureithi, who has been on the sign language interpretation desk, we say good night. We do this again. See you on Thursday. God bless. Enjoy the rest of the programming.